Geraldine Paredes Vasquez, or Jared, started her journey with EE as a teenage student and then graduate of the United World Colleges, a global movement for education for peace that was founded by Kurt Hahn in the 1950s. Since then, she's been actively exploring ways in which EE can be a force for youth empowerment, intercultural understanding, and social justice. She's worked with children, youth, and adult populations across 4 continents, and currently lives in Madison, Wisconsin. She's also a joyful graduate of Prescott College and has been an active international member of AEE since 2010, a community she cherishes as her global tribe. Please welcome Jerry.
Buen dia. How are you doing? Good morning. Thank you, Hutch, for that. So I'm going to take these minutes to connect, share, and grow. And I just want to let you know that my heart is pounding, and I think that's a good thing. So let me tell you a little bit more about my journey. And I want to start with my slides, maybe. Should I just press it? Oh, there you go, right? So I'm from Bolivia, which I like to refer as the heart of South America. And I think the drawing pretty much shows that, right? My parents, what happened there? Oh, my parents come from 2 different regions in my country, and these are regions that have been historically in conflict. My mother comes from the oriental part of my country that is known for the lowlands and also the home of the Guarani and other Amazonian indigenous nations. My father comes from the Andean region of my country, which is known by the highlands and also the home of the Quechua and the Aymara indigenous nations. I myself am a mestiza, and I have indigenous and European heritages in both sides of my family. As I have learned, this is yet a complex identity to be fully loved and embraced across our continent. I learned of this as a child, and thanks to the loving teachings of my grand-uncle, my Tío Antonio. Don Antonio Paredes Candia was one of the most prolific writers and cultural researchers in my country. But what was most important was that he was deeply loved by youth. And I think he was doing this work because he felt that the wound that was at the heart of our family was also the heart of many other families across our country. And so I must have been about 7 years old when he gave me a kaleidoscope as a gift, and he told me these words. He said to me, "People are like kaleidoscopes. No matter what they tell you, no person is just one thing." And so today, I want to honor his transformational legacy for all that it has sustained me as the kaleidoscopical woman and the intercultural social justice experiential educator that I try to be every day. For that, I want to share 3 personal stories with you. And for the first one, we have to go all the way to my childhood. And I want to tell you about my friendship with Alejandra. Ale and me became friends in 3rd grade. And our peers were puzzled because they couldn't really see what brought us together. Alejandra would be wearing dark clothes, she would listen to heavy metal bands, she would have a really big idea of her personal space, and she would be very critical. And if you can guess, I was a very colorful child. I had an idea of my personal space, but I would always look for excuses to hug and kiss people. And I was always thinking about what is possible. But this is, by far, one of the most important friendships in my life. I'm really friends until today. And I think it was not only because we allowed ourselves to be more than one thing, but because we were able to find the power of bringing something new precisely because we were different. And in our case, I think this was the force of joyful irreverence, or that's what we like to think. So it didn't take too long for us to start taking actions with joyful irreverence and challenging the different ways in which we were supposed to be labeled or limited. And so later on in my journey, I took this to another level, and I started thinking about how is it that I can have an impact in my society as a social justice activist. And I had this vision that youth in my country, united across racial, gender, social, religious, ideological divides, can actually give each other the chance to be more than one thing. And because of our differences, we can bring something new that we had no idea what it was, but we could do it together. And that was beautiful, and it was joyful, and it was irreverent, and I wanted that.
Yeah.
So to do that, I had to give myself the chance to go and listen and learn from other perspectives. So I started meeting with different youth organizations and community movements and everything you can imagine to learn. And this has been a transformational experience for me, and it continues to be a transformational experience to me. But I want to tell you a story about meetings with one of these groups. I started meeting with an indigenous youth social movement in my country. And this was a transformational experience for me because it was about the 5th meeting that we were able to have the conversation around the subtle ways in which my mestizo privilege was showing up. And it was interrupting the possibility of us having an authentic relationship and actually really challenging the oppressive divisions that we were naming. I learned that it was not only about the color of my skin, but it was also about what I was privileging, what options I was privileging, what concepts I was privileging, what time management I was privileging, what aesthetics I was privileging. And it was a liberating experience for me. And I thank them for that since today. But it was also an amazing experience because we gave each other the opportunity to be more than that. And because of that, we were able to connect and start bringing something new. And later on, with 80 came in my path, thanks to UWC again. And together with other peers in my country, we formed a small non-for-profit that then, under the frame of experiential education, did this work more intentionally and has reached for thousands of youth across Bolivia, now Chile, Peru, and Argentina as well. And so, later on in my journey, I ended up in Madison, Wisconsin, right? Because that's what AE does. It connects us across the globe, right? And then I was like, where am I going? Madison, Wisconsin. Okay, I didn't know anything about Madison, Wisconsin. Then I learned that the winter was 5 months. I was like, what? But needless to say, it has been an amazing experience. I mean, not only that I got to live 2 years with Lori, Frank, and Bert Zipper, which was just an amazing experience. Love them dearly. But it was also an amazing experience because it allowed me to be on the other side of the spectrum of privilege and oppression. Because in the United States, as a Latina and a woman of color, working with families in the schools, I was also noticing the subtle ways in which their perspective was also seen as secondary. Or me finding myself being limited as just a Latina that knows how to dance and loves to dance, which I love to dance, but it's not the only thing I do, right? And then I was like, wow, this is interesting because now I'm on the other side and I have to find ways in which we can actually, again, allow ourselves to be more than one thing and bring something new. So I want to tell you the last story that is in Madison, Wisconsin. I was supporting a public charter middle school that was using project-based learning for its work, and in the social justice class that we had, we were looking into social activism and water rights. And I thought, great, that's a perfect opportunity for a flash mob, right? I love dancing, and then we can do a flash mob with a social justice team. And I checked with some students, and they were excited about this. So then I went to my principal after some meetings, I got his approval, and then went on and picked a song from my favorite social justice hip-hop artist. I was sure the kids would love it, right? So I came back to the school to present this idea, and I remember that as soon as I said that I picked the song, there was silence in the classroom, and I had like half smiles. And I was like, what? Something is going on, right? So then I checked with a smaller group of students, and I was like, what happened? What happened with the song? And then it was Jada's loving words, bringing me back to reality, actually. She was telling me, Miss Geraldine, we love you. We really know you love that artist. We really want to do this flash mob, but we want to pick our own song. And that's when it hit me. In my overexcitement, I was not only pitfalling in my dominant side, but I was actually doing social justice and change instead of being social justice and change. And so they picked their own song. We had a blast. It was joyfully irreverent. We took over the Capitol in Madison. It was amazing, but most importantly, they were my greatest teachers in letting me know that when it comes to social justice and change, above all, it's not a to-do agenda, but it's actually a to-be life journey. And that's the story I wanted to share with you today. Thank you. Gracias.